Hello reefers and reef tank and fish aquarium enthusiasts. My name is Nicholas. This is the first video I've ever done on YouTube, really. I did a couple shorts yesterday that I put on. But I've had this what's called Red Sea G200 Max now just about 13 months. I think I've got it to the level where it is appropriate for me to discuss what I've gone through learning curve wise. It's been quite a year with this tank, and I've learned a tremendous amount of things to do, what not to do. Definitely not for the financially adverse. I spent a lot of money on this tank, but it's been extremely rewarding therapeutically. And I think it's an amazing thing to be able to take these amazing, beautiful pieces of life, LPS, soft coral, and bring them into our tank and into our home environment, and to be able to interact with them, and of course the fish as well, which are members of the system and part of my family now. The clownfish, I definitely think about fish differently than I ever did before. These clownfish, for example, before I ever had any kind of fish, or before I got into reef tanking, I thought fish was sushi or a meal. And now I realize that, for example, these clownfish, they actually have personalities. They are individual. They have fun. They swim in the reef, a wave, which means they're thinking about things, and if not thinking, they're enjoying themselves in their own level. And this life all has value. The coral life has value as well, and not just monetary value, but in and of itself. These coral and fish are valuable in their own sense, and now I can really appreciate why so many people want to protect the environment, protect the coral reefs, notwithstanding that we have imported some corals into our home. That's, definitely, at least we're enjoying them and taking good care of them. And nonetheless, I have, over the course of the year, or 13 months, it was a rough first few months. As they say, you go through your ugly phase. And the biggest game changer for me, though, of everything, and I have quite a bit of additional equipment, but number one, I would say, was the GFO reactor that I purchased. That GFO reactor, I purchased probably about 5 months into this tank. And up until that point, I was having just a really hard time maintaining any kind of stability and maintaining any kind of coral health. My corals were just dying before I got the GFO reactor. They all died, basically. And I had purchased a HANA tester before I got the GFO reactor, and I was doing a ton of water changes. Never made a difference. Obviously, I have to feed the fish, and maybe I overfeed the fish. I want to make them happy. But in that process, it goes through the nitrogen cycle and phosphates. But the GFO reactor has just completely, it was a game changer. And ever since I got that GFO reactor, the algae diminished, and the coral thrived. So another hugely important item, I think, was the alpha reef. I do about 5 milliliters a day on that one, which I think is about appropriate, given the number of coral that I have right now. Calcium levels I keep them, right now they're probably a little bit lower than I want. They're at about 420, but they seem to be at a safe level. And the alkalinity levels also pretty low. It's about 7 to 8, which is, I think, pretty good. So I've spent a lot of time in acquiring different coral, and some of the more valuable ones here as the Acanthophilia. Now this Acanthophilia, anybody knows about Acanthophilia, they vary quite a bit in terms of color variation. Some of them are very red, some of them are green. This one I think is a little bit plain, but it's very large, and it was very expensive. I think it was a bit overpriced. But nonetheless, I got it about 3 or 4 months ago, and it's done quite well. It's no problems at all. I have to do another video to show what it's like when it eats. When I broadcast feed in the morning, this acantho opens up, tentacles open up, and it's like a different animal, and it's amazing that this acanthophilia senses its environment, knows what's going on in its own way. Another coral that I have that I obviously, I very much enjoy, though I'm waiting for it to grow, it's a bit of a slow grower, is the Holy Grail coral. It's 2 heads, and I've had this one, I think, about 3 months. Probably could increase the flow a bit on that one. The PAR levels, the PAR levels, are probably a little bit low right now at that levels. I have a low PAR level about 100 where that torch is, and a lot of torch enthusiasts and torch experts would tell you probably higher PAR levels and higher flow may be a better thing. But the actual Red Sea Max G200 comes with a 90 watt LAD. It doesn't put out a tremendous amount of PAR in any case. During the course of the day, I will increase the PAR levels, max out the tank for about an hour a day, just to give as much PAR as I can. And so you see I have various torch, various Euphilia, and this hammer coral was very small when I purchased it. Now it's gigantic. Got some leather coral near there. Now all the coral you see, they're all in close proximity to with one another, which presents its own problems with these coral being quite xenophobic, and they will oftentimes become aggressive with coral nearby. And I can show an example of this. Here I have an encrusted plate SPS coral, the green one there, and you can see where there's a bit of tissue damage, and that was because Mr. Malaysian Torch got a little bit frisky and spread its tentacles to that encrusted plate, and so it's a bit damaged. That was about 3 weeks ago, and I'm hoping it recovers. I did move this torch back a bit, but it's still a little bit close. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I did put quite a bit of coral in a small area. I think a 42-gallon tank, so only so much space. And these coral are going to grow, and over time, we'll be rearranging and moving things around. I watch closely these SPS coral here, these acros. Like I said, when I first got my tank, I did buy quite a few SPS coral. None of them survived. Lately, these SPS, in the last couple of months, they seem to be doing okay, and they are under low light condition, considering SPS need high light, and they are actually under PAR'd at my PAR meter reads them at about 100. So they don't get a lot of light, except when I, for that hour in the day, I'll put everything up as 100% blue, 100% white, and maybe they're going to get up to like 130 PAR would be the max, because I only have a 90 watt, and that's one thing about the Red Sea G200 Max, is that 90 watt light is a bit underpowered if you're going to do SPS. So, I mean, they do spec it out at 500 PAR, but that is if you measure right at the surface of the water directly underneath the LED light. Within an inch below that surface, it quickly diminishes in PAR level. So by the time we're about 8 inches below in the center, it's hard to get the PAR above 125. So sometimes I think about maybe supplementing the LED, but I don't know how complicated I want to get with respect to lighting. And if I keep this a Euphilia dominant tank, then the lighting is not so much of an issue, and keep things maxed out about 100 PAR level. But obviously, probably not going to be growing my SPS tremendously with the current lighting situation. And in any case, after a year, everything's done quite well. The tang, now that tang actually I purchased early on against the advice of many online enthusiasts who, like to protect the value of life of tang, probably feel that, these creatures deserve larger space, and I'm not going to argue that. Although I don't find my tank to be unhappy when she does grow too much and she gets oversized and she becomes stressed out. I will find her a new home, or I'll get a larger tank. We'll see. But right now the tank's doing quite well, and I haven't had too much fish aggression. The fish aggression I did have was when I had a wrasse. I had a medium-sized wrasse, and that wrasse was aggressive. So I eventually caught it and brought it back to the local fish shop, and just got some credit for it. Another coral that I really enjoy is the elegance coral. This one is on its side right now, as I think Trocus snail moved it onto its side. But the elegance coral, just like they call it elegant, I find it very elegant, and fortunately these are easier to maintain and they don't need a lot of flow. This coral right here, I can't remember the name of it, but it's done quite well. Actually, everything's, I think, doing quite well now after the 13-month period of time. There's always daily challenges, and I'm constantly monitoring this tank. I went on a vacation for 4 or 5 days a couple of weeks ago. Everything was okay, but it's kind of an obsessive hobby when you have so much coral, and the value of these and their fluctuation, their ability to withstand fluctuating conditions is pretty low. So underneath the tank, I had got a plastic divider, and I made a little area for macroalgae, and I got another pump. The LED light, actually, it's on right now, but it's usually not on at night. During the day it's not on. I turn it on at night, and I put the flow on it so it gets some flow. I've got smart power strips that control that. I probably overdo it on the filter socks and the filter floss. I have a lot of filter floss that I keep in there, but I don't think it's been a problem. I don't think it's for the worse. Underneath the outtake, I also have a large amount of filter floss that I keep in there, and it captures quite a bit of debris, and I change that about every week, and keeps the tank clean, I think. So and it's relatively cheap, so why not? I think I've covered the major issues just with respect to introduction to my tank for the first year. I'm very happy with the Red Sea tank. I was, a bit nervous with respect to, I never want to buy a tank that's going to leak or have, structural integrity issues. And the Red Sea did have some online feedback that some of the tanks were leaking in the past. I believe those are the previous models, the larger models as well. There's more information about that, and maybe some people have some experiences with respect to that, but haven't heard anything bad about the current G200 models. Got reinforced seams, glass is very thick. I think Red Sea went through quite a bit of negative user experience, or with their consumers having issues in the past, so I like to think that they have corrected any of the issues with respect to structural integrity, because it would not be a good thing to have even this medium-sized 42-gallon tank leaking is a problem. So that's also does come, fortunately, the G200 comes with the ATO sensor, so if there's a leak, the app does tell you that. So then I have a 5-gallon ATO top off. Actually, and this tank evaporates almost a gallon of water a day, which is pretty surprising. 50 gallons evaporating 1 gallon a day. So it takes a lot of roadie water to keep it going. And I did buy a roadie system. Any questions or any comments? Happy to hear and answer any comments you think might improve this tank. I'm definitely would be interested. It's my first year, and the learning curve is quite extensive. I've learned a lot, but I've definitely researched a lot.